The wind carried dust and dying sunlight across the barren Wyoming flats when Eli Morgan first saw her stumbling through the brush, a thin, filthy silhouette moving like a ghost torn loose from the earth. He had been riding home from a cattle run, thinking only of the long night ahead, when his horse snorted and stopped, ears pitched forward. What emerged from the crooked shadow of a cottonwood tree hardly looked human at first, a young woman, barefoot, bruised, her clothes shredded to rags that barely clung to her frame. She stared at him with a hollow defiance, as if daring him to look away. Eli dismounted slow, palms open, voice gentler than the wind. "Miss? You hurt?" She didn't answer. Instead, she lifted her chin with a stubbornness that surprised him and rasped, "You paid for me, now do it." Her voice was raw, scraped down to its bones, but there was something in it, rage or shame or both, that froze Eli where he stood. Then he understood, she wasn't talking to him, not really. She was talking to the men she had escaped. Eli's stomach turned. He knelt beside her, careful not to startle her, and her legs buckled as if she'd been fighting gravity for hours. "No one owns you," he said firmly. But she shook her head, cheeks streaked with dirt, breath trembling with disbelief. Her body bore the marks of ropes, of long travel, of cruelty that had no place in any world, even the Wild West. Eli didn't ask for details. A man didn't need to be told how wolves operated. He slipped his coat off and draped it around her shoulders. She stiffened at first touch, flinched even, but he didn't reach again, just laid it gently and stepped back. "Name?" he asked. "Lark," she whispered, her eyes scanning the plains like she expected devils to rise from it any second. She tried to stand upright, pulling herself into some semblance of dignity despite the bruises, despite the fear shadowing her. The harsh sun revealed more than her injuries. She was stubborn, resilient, and something dangerous must have pushed her past her breaking point. "Lark," Eli repeated. "I'm Eli Morgan. Let me help you." But she recoiled. "No. If they find you with me, they'll kill you too. They already took their money's worth. They'll want the rest." Eli felt a heat rise behind his ribs that had nothing to do with the weather. Someone had bought her. Someone had hunted her. And someone was still coming. The silence between them thickened until it felt like the land itself was holding its breath. Then, faintly, carried on the shifting wind, came the distant thunder of hooves. Lark heard it too. Her breath hitched. "They're coming." Eli's instincts sharpened, every sense going taut like a pulled wire. He put himself between her and the approaching sound. "How many?" he asked. "3, maybe 4. They had guns. And a wagon." Her voice thinned with panic. "They said I owed them. They said if I ran." Her sentence cracked apart, but that was enough for Eli. He reached for his horse, tightening the reins. "We're riding. You can barely stand, but you'll sit behind me." "I can ride alone," she argued weakly. "I'm not helpless." Eli didn't argue the truth of it. Her spirit was iron, but her body was failing. He lifted her with as little contact as possible, helping her settle behind the saddle. She winced but gripped the back strap, teeth clenched against pain. "Hold on," he said, and he kicked the horse forward. The plains blurred beneath them, the old cottonwood shrinking behind as they raced toward the Morgan Ranch, toward safety, if such a thing existed anymore. The ride wasn't long, but every minute felt stolen, precious, like they were outrunning time itself. When they reached the ranch house, Eli's wife, Clara, stepped onto the porch with a ball in her hands, her expression shifting the second she saw Lark. Clara was tough, the kind of frontier woman who could birth calves, fix fences, and raise two children with the calm of a seasoned sheriff. But even her calm cracked for a moment as she took in Lark's broken appearance. Lord above, Clara breathed, setting the ball aside. Get her inside. Lark stiffened again, whispering frantically, your wife, she can't know. She'll think you need help, Eli said sharply. And she's right. Inside, Clara guided Lark to the washroom with the kind of gentle authority only a mother could possess. Eli waited outside the door, listening to the clinks of basins, the running water, the faint tremors in Lark's voice. When Clara stepped out, her jaw was tight, her eyes burning with the kind of fury that only a good woman could feel when witnessing evil. What happened to her? She asked. Eli shook his head. Don't know yet. But men are after her. We don't have long. Clara didn't hesitate. Then we protect her. That was why he loved Clara. There were no questions about worth or risk, only humanity. But the pounding of hooves outside shattered that brief moment of safety. Eli's rifle was in his hands before he even registered moving. Through the dust rising outside, 4 riders emerged, faces hard, clothes marked with the grime of long travel and violent work. One of them, a thick-necked man with a scar running from brow to jaw, raised a hand. Afternoon, Morgan, he called. We ain't here for trouble. Just looking for what's ours. Eli didn't lower the rifle. She ain't yours. The man smirked, and it was the kind of smirk a man wore when he believed the world belonged to him. We bought her fair. Contract signed. Payment made. She ran before delivering what she owed. Now hand her over. Eli's trigger finger twitched, not from fear but fury. Somewhere behind him, he sensed Clara standing in the doorway, shielding Lark with her body. You ain't taking her, Eli said. Not alive. The man's smile vanished. You got a wife, Morgan. And kids. Think hard 'fore you make this stupid. Eli stepped forward, rifle trained steady. Ain't thinking. I'm telling. You turn around right now and ride till the earth ends, or I put every one of you in it. It was a line in the sand. And the men knew it. The scarred leader spat into the dust, then leaned forward in his saddle. You're making a mighty expensive choice, for a girl who ain't even yours. She's human, Eli growled. That's enough. For a moment, no one moved. Then the man gave a cold nod to his riders. We'll be back by sundown. With more men. And we'll burn this place to the ground if we have to. Eli's pulse hammered, but he didn't flinch. He watched them turn their horses and disappear into the plains like gathering storm clouds. When the dust settled, Clara stepped beside him. They'll kill us, she said quietly. All of us. Eli lowered his rifle slowly. Not if we strike first. From the doorway, Lark's voice trembled, you don't have to do this for me. Eli turned toward her, seeing clearly for the first time not just a broken girl, but a survivor standing on the edge of her last hope. Yes, he said softly. We do. And somewhere beyond the horizon, the storm of riders gathered, bringing death, justice, or something far stranger, toward a ranch where one terrified girl and one stubborn family prepared to change the Wild West forever. Sundown fell heavy and red upon the Morgan Ranch, the kind of blood-colored light that warned every living thing that danger was close and mercy was running thin. Inside the dim lantern glow of the old wooden house, Eli Morgan laid out rifles, cartridges, and 2 hunting knives across the kitchen table while Clara secured the windows and Lark sat wrapped in a wool blanket, unable to tell if the shaking in her body came from fear, exhaustion, or the impossible feeling that, for the first time in months, someone was willing to stand between her and the men who wanted to own her. Every creak of wood made her flinch. Every gust of wind felt like footsteps. Eli knelt in front of her, eyes steady, voice low. "You don't owe us anything. Not a word, not a past, not an apology. But I need one thing from you, courage. Tonight, we fight. Not because you are ours, but because no one deserves chains." Lark swallowed hard, her throat tight with emotions she hadn't let herself feel since the night she was taken. "They won't stop," she whispered. "They'll come until I'm dead or back in their hands." Eli's jaw tightened. "Then we make sure they don't get the chance." Outside, the sky darkened until the land vanished into a sea of shadows. That was when they heard its hooves, dozens of them, thundering across the plains. Clara's hand tightened on Lark's shoulder. "Stay behind me," she murmured. Lark wanted to object, but before she could, the front door rattled. Eli pushed them back and stepped onto the porch, rifle raised. What faced him made his stomach churn. Not 4 riders. Not even 7. At least 12 mounted men gathered in a semicircle, their torches flickering like wicked stars. And at the center of them sat the scarred leader, grinning as though the devil himself whispered victory in his ear. "Evening, Morgan," he called. "Brought some friends. Figured you'd be stubborn." Eli stood tall. "You ain't taking her. You ain't protecting her," the man shot back. "You're just delay the inevitable." Then he nodded, and the riders charged. Eli fired first, dropping the closest man off his horse. Clara fired from the window, her shot clean and exact. The ranch erupted into chaos, gunfire, screams, stamping hooves, torches landing in the dry grass. Lark watched from the doorway, trembling, feeling everything inside her scream to run, but where? This family was fighting for her, dying for her. She would not let that be for nothing. When 2 riders broke from the main group and headed for the back of the house, Lark grabbed the hunting knife from the table, slipped out the back door, and pressed herself against the shadowed barn. The first rider dismounted, searching for an angle to ambush Eli from behind. Before he could raise his gun, Lark lunged. She didn't aim for strength, she aimed for surprise. The knife struck his arm, buying her the few precious seconds she needed to run toward Eli. "Behind you," she shouted. Eli spun just as another attacker aimed at him, and he fired faster than thought. "You should be inside," he barked, but there was no time for argument. Another torched rider charged at Lark. Clara appeared behind him with a shotgun blast that threw the man from his horse. The fight raged, merciless and unrelenting, until only the scarred leader remained, circling Eli on horseback like a vulture waiting for a corpse to stop twitching. "One woman," the leader sneered. "One woman, and you throw your life away." Eli didn't blink. "One woman who deserves freedom more than you deserve breath." The scarred man roared and kicked his horse forward, charging directly at Eli. Eli's rifle clicked empty. The man raised his pistol, aimed straight at Eli's heart until a sharp crack split the night. "Clara!" Her bullet struck the leader's hand, knocking his gun into the dirt. The horse panicked, reared, and threw him. He hit the ground hard. Before he recovered, Lark stepped forward. Not with fear. Not with hatred. With ending. She picked up the fallen pistol and aimed it at him, hands steady despite her shaking body. "No one," she whispered, "owns me." The scarred man smirked even then. "Girl, you ain't got the." Her shot cut his sentence clean in half. Silence rolled over the ranch, broken only by the crackle of small fires licking at the dry weeds. Eli and Clara approached her slowly, giving her space. Lark lowered the gun, breaths shaking, tears streaking silently down her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean." Eli shook his head. "You did what you had to." Clara wrapped an arm around Lark, pulling her gently into her shoulder, holding her while the weight of freedom finally broke open inside her. Dawn came soft and golden, washing the ranch in a warmth the night had stolen. The bodies were buried far from the house, the scars on the land would fade, but the memory would not. Lark sat on the porch steps, wrapped in a clean dress Clara had given her. Eli joined her, settling beside her quietly. She stared at the horizon, voice soft. "I don't know who I am now. I don't know where to go." "You don't have to know today," Eli said. "Stay here." He. "When you're ready, choose your life, not the one you were forced into." Lark breathed in deeply, feeling for the first time the luxury of safety. Clara brought warm food, Eli brought steady silence, and the day brought peace. As weeks passed, the bruises faded, her strength returned, and the fear that once controlled her steps loosened its grip. One evening, she stood beside Clara, helping feed the chickens, when she said quietly, "You saved me." Clara smiled. "No, Lark. You saved yourself. We just gave you the space to fight." Lark lowered her gaze. "I will never forget you. Either of you." With time, Lark chose her path, a quiet start in town, a job at the seamstress shop, and a promise to visit the ranch often. She carried scars, yes, but she carried fire too. And she would never again kneel for anyone. As for Eli and Clara, life returned to its rhythm. But every sunset the cottonwood tree cast its long shadow across the yard. They remembered the night they chose humanity over fear and changed someone's world forever. And that is the truth of the Wild West. Heroes are not born from guns or glory, but from the courage to stand up when the world tells you to stand aside. If you felt the power, bravery, and heart of this story, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more Wild West stories, more courage, more fire, and more unforgettable journeys straight to you. Saddle up with us by hitting that subscribe button. The next adventure is waiting.